welcome to my channel. My name's Angela and this is Devon Thread Tales. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be going through some of the makes that I've made in the last month or two. I can't really remember the time scale of it, but it's been in the last couple of months, and I'm going to kind of try and coordinate this a little bit with some of the me-makes that I wore on my holiday, because they were some makes from previous times, they were makes that were brand new for the holiday, and then I might incorporate a little bit of the dressmaker's ball at the end of it. Now, that makes it sound like this is going to be a hugely long video. So what I'm going to attempt to do is record the whole thing. And if at the end of it it's ridiculously long, then I'll cut it in half and make it 2 videos. So I hope that that's okay. So I'm going to crack straight on with it. All of my body measurements are listed down below, and I will refer to sizes of each of the patterns that I've made, but just for very quick reference, my body measurements are 36 bust, a 30-ish waist on a good day, and around about a 38.5-inch hip. So with that in mind, I will talk to you about the different things that I made and the sizes. So first thing that I made is the Tessuti Patterns Lois Dress, and I've had my eye on this for absolutely ages. I hadn't bought the pattern, but I had been sort of dreaming about it and thinking about it for quite some time, and then eventually I thought, right, let's get the pattern and make it. And I had this fabric, which was a remnant from what was Sew Your Own Wardrobe, which was a shop in Ashby de la Zouch in Leicester, which unfortunately has now closed down. However, it's been taken over by another lady who used to work there, and I think the shop is now called Fabric Boutique. If I've got that wrong, I'll put the name of the shop across the bottom. I haven't actually been and visited there yet. I did when it was the old shop, and I really want to go and have a look at the new shop, because the lady that owns it was at the dressmaker's ball, and we had a good old chat, and her mum was there as well, and she just looked absolutely lovely. And I know the shop is in a really lovely location, and it's a lovely shop anyway, so it'd be really great to go and see it and revisit it, but it's another excuse to go up to Leicester and visit friends. Anyway, on to the dress. So I made it out of this remnant. Now, I had read lots and lots and lots of reviews. I always get very worried about making patterns. I don't know why. I feel like I should be really experienced now, and I should just be able to go, wow, this is what I'm going to make, and I'm just going to have a go at this. But I've been caught a few times with making something and it being the wrong size, either too big or too small. So I was a little bit sort of, do I make a toile? I didn't have a lot of time. I was going on holiday. I just wanted to make it. And I thought, well, this is a remnant of fabric. Let's just go for it. But all the reviews that I had read had all said, and that was videos on YouTube or blog posts or Instagram, everybody had said, size down, it always comes up too big. And I am glad in some ways that I did that, but I'll talk through the issues that I had. So I should have been a size 10, and I ended up making the straight size 8. And the 8 across the bust, I feel like it's okay, but it's quite busty. Now, I have heard other people say that they took this up, but I was going on holiday and I thought, well, I'll just go on holiday and I'll just, you know, be who I am and let it all out. Not quite. So I kept the top as it was, but the bottom section from the Empire line down was just really, really odd. It kind of stuck out on one side, and it has this really clever construction. There aren't any side seams. The seam for the back comes in about 2 inches from the side. So you've got like a back panel, and then you've got this side section, which is, well, it's the side and the front. It's all one piece, and it has darts in it, but it also has on one side the zip in the dart. It's all very strange. Anyway, it just works. It works really well. However, I had this really strange kind of beveling coming out on each side, and I ended up taking in the sides, if you can call it a side, because it wasn't really a side, it was more like the dart. I sort of took it in and took it in and took it in to the point where I wasn't really sure how much I had taken it in by. So I think if I make this again, which I think I would quite like to do, I will make the size 8 again on the top, but I might even size down further on the bottom section, because it just didn't quite work as it was. However, I'm really pleased with the end result. I like what it looked like. I'll put in pictures here of when I was on my holiday. I've got a feeling the picture I've got of this one is a selfie in a toilet. But anyway, so I'll put pictures up of what this looked like. And I am pleased with how it came out. And when I wore it, I felt absolutely great in it. I really enjoyed wearing it. The fabric is beautiful. It's really soft and lightweight and viscosy. And yeah, I haven't worn it again since. Sometimes when I wear dresses out of an evening, they are the sort of thing that I feel like I can wear with pumps during the day and I could wear with heels of an evening to make it dressed up. This, not so much. I feel like it is just a bit too booby and I don't think I would be able to wear it of a daytime. Unless, I don't know, unless the occasion called for it, which I don't quite know what that occasion is. But anyway, I don't feel like I could confidently wear this during the day. It was definitely an evening dress. So on with the next make. So the next make, and I'm holding this up like this, I know you can't see the full dress, I'm just showing you sort of the fabric. It's really beautiful fabric actually. It's from Fabric Godmother and it's like a crepe viscose. And I was inspired to make the dress that I'm going to talk to you about because I had seen Man Yi, who was in the Sewing Bee. I saw her at one of the shows and she was wearing the Friday Pattern Company Saltwater Slip Dress in this fabric over a little black polo top, and it just looked really, really lovely. And I wanted to mimic that style. Now, again, I'm going to put pictures up on the screen of what this looked like. I'll put this down for a second. So I had a little bit of an annoyance with this pattern. I made it up in a toile prior to making it in this because this fabric, you know, wasn't particularly cheap fabric and I wanted to make sure that I got the size right, etc. And again, you know, having that panic about what size to make. And I decided to make the size medium in the toile and I just felt that it wasn't right across the bust and I needed more room. So with lots and lots of debate, I decided in the end to make the large at the bust and then come down into the medium for the rest of the dress. And really what has happened is I've ended up with a dress that's too big and I'm so gutted. I think what I was trying to do, I was trying to end up with a dress where I could wear it on its own without anything underneath it or just, you know, underwear underneath it, or to wear it with a top underneath, and so it needs to be just that slightly bit more roomy. And I think what I've ended up with is something a bit too big. However, what I did is I ended up doing all the bias binding, etc. around it, and there's no way really, unless I unpick the entire thing, of remedying that. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this dress at the moment, because when I wore it on holiday, I did like it and it was really comfortable for the weather that we had. It was really nice, but I could feel that it was too big across here. And I don't know that it's something that I'm going to go to in my wardrobe again. Now, the other thing about this dress, and I feel like I'm being very negative, is that I don't feel like this fabric, when it was on its own against my skin, I don't feel like the colouring and everything of it really suited me, and I just didn't feel right in it. I didn't feel great in it. I didn't feel horrible, but you know, it just didn't feel quite right. I did try and put it on with a little black t-shirt on underneath and put it on and, you know, came out and sort of showed my husband and he went, "Ooh, that's a different look for you." I don't think he quite liked what it looked like, and you know, he wouldn't have cared if I said, "Well, stuff for you, I'm going to wear it anyway." He was like, "Yeah, well, do whatever you like, that's fine." But it does make a difference when somebody sort of gives you their opinion on what something looks like. So that's one thing about this. The fabric I don't think was right for me, and I think if I'd made it in a different type of fabric, that might have been fine. I think I'm going to try and make it again, and I am going to try and make it in just a size medium and see how that goes, but obviously just as a summer dress, not to have as something worn over something. However, I will say I am going to give this a go wearing it over a black roll neck top and see what that feels like in the winter. But for another summer dress, I'm going to change it. The other thing that I'm going to do is I feel like when I wear it, where the waist is, and quite often, I didn't give this a thought with this, quite often I need to lengthen dresses around the waist area. So if there is a top and a skirt that come together on a dress and get joined by a seam, quite often I have to lengthen the waist seam and bring it down by sometimes as much as 2 inches, just to bring it so it actually falls naturally on my waist. And I didn't give it a thought that this has shaping that kind of shapes in at the waist. And I think I need to drop down where that shaping sits on me, and then that would feel a lot more comfortable as well, because when I then tied it back with the ties, it just felt like it didn't quite sit right. And I've seen Ruan from the Yorkshire Sew Girl and Rachel from Stitched Up and Tamlin and lots and lots of other people who have made this Saltwater Slip Dress, and they absolutely love it and it looks great on them. And I think I can get that and I can achieve that. I just need to mess around a little bit with how it fits me and what it looks like. But let me know, have you made the Saltwater Slip Dress and what do you think of it? Yeah, not quite sure. I really want to love this pattern, but at the moment it's just not quite working for me. I will get onto some more positive stuff, I promise. So, make number 3. You may notice I've got my pad of paper here, so I'm just making sure I know what I've been wearing and being able to share it with you correctly. So the next thing that I wore on my holiday, I wanted to share with you, and this was of an evening, but I have shared this make with you before, is the dress that I made for the Dressmakers Ball last year, and it is a Vogue dress. I'll put the number across the screen, and I made this in a fabric from Makeup 140. It's a Studio Walkie fabric. It is a reversible jacquard type fabric, and I absolutely love this. I felt fantastic in this dress. It felt really nice, and I do talk about it in more depth in another video, and I'll make sure that I put a link into it here or wherever it appears on the screen. So on to the next thing that I wore. I wore a ready-to-wear jumpsuit that I bought from NewLook. I bought it just before we went away, so I don't really need to share anything about that with you. But the same night, John wore a homemade shirt, and I was really, really chuffed with it, and he looked really lovely in it. So I'll put some pictures of it up here, and I'll put the name of the pattern across the screen as well, because I can't remember what the name of the pattern is. It's a number, and I can't just remember the numbers off the top of my head. But I bought the fabric from Haberdashery Fabrics and More in Plymouth. It is just a quilting cotton, and it's a really nice shirt. He says it's one of his favourites, and he looked really smart and really nice in it in the evening while we were on our cruise. So next on my holiday, I wore the So Liberated Stasia dress, which again, I know I've spoken to you about this before, and it's a make that I've shared before. And again, I'll put the details of that in a link up here somewhere for you to have a look at that if you would like to. But I absolutely love this dress. It has fast become one of my favourites. I've only got, actually I've got 3 of them, but 2 of them are my favourites, and they are the long version. I have made the short version before, but it's not quite me. I prefer the long, really sort of long flowy version of it, and I bought this fabric from Makeup 140. It's a beautiful, beautiful viscose jersey, and it's just really beautiful summery colours. I made it specifically for a wedding that I went to, and in the end, like I say, it's just become a really favourite dress. I've worn it with trainers and worn it during the day, and I've worn it with heels and gone out for it of an evening. Yeah, it just feels really lovely. So that was one of my other makes. Now I'm going to go on to another make which I have again shared with you. However, I've got a second version of this. I made the I made the Tilly and the Buttons Esty set, and I made it in a black and white viscose that I bought from Guthrie Garney. I've shared this on a collaboration video that I did with Karen, and again I'll put a link into the video here, and I've talked about it on another video. But I then made another version of it in totally plain black, and I'll put some pictures in here of me wearing it. Now you might notice from the photos, these photos of me at home, I didn't actually wear this while I was away on holiday, and I don't really know why. I just fell in love with the Esty set, the black and white version that I did, and I absolutely loved it and decided I've got to make a plain version of this. I'll wear it all the time, and it'll probably be the first thing that I wear when I go on holiday. And when I made it up and I put the plain version of the trousers on and showed my husband, again, he's not, this makes it sound like he's really awful, he's not at all. But he did kind of do a bit of a, I don't really like them. I was like, do you know? He went, well, they just look like almost like joggy bottoms because of the way the top looks, and I think it's because they're in plain fabric, and I think that's all it is. I actually made it in a viscose twill fabric that I bought from Makeup 140 again, and like I say, I don't know why I didn't go for them while I was on holiday. Maybe it was because of the comment that my husband made, I don't know. And I did think that I would mix and match both of the Esty sets, the black and white version and the black version, all up together, and that would be really lovely, but it just never came to fruition. I just didn't do that at all. Now, what I might do, I've kind of planned what I'm going to wear for work for the rest of the week, and I have thought, oh, there's a skirt that I'm going to wear and I could do with a nice little black top, so I might try wearing the black Esty top while I'm wearing that tomorrow and see how I feel about that. But yeah, I'm a little bit on the fence about that at the moment. Not about the pattern, because I love the pattern and I love how it's turned out. I did have to do a huge amount of fitting, which I share on that collaboration video, to make it work for me. But now that it has worked for me, I really like it. I just think I prefer it in a patterned fabric, which is strange because I really think I'm more of a plain patterned kind of girl, if that makes any sense at all. So yeah, very strange, and don't know why I didn't go for it on my holiday. So yeah, any thoughts about that, let me know. So over the next few days, I wore a few things which again I've shared with you, and I'll just quickly mention them and put the pictures up on the screen. I wore the Sew Over It Giselle dress, which I absolutely love. Normally I wear this with pumps and wear it as a day dress, but I actually wore it out of an evening and I put some heels on with it and I felt really nice wearing that. It was just an evening out, it wasn't a particularly fancy evening or anything, so that was quite nice. I then also wore the Sew Over It Estelle dress. Is it the Estelle? Yes, the Estelle dress, which is the jersey sort of tie dress, and again I wore that with some heels and wore it out. During the next couple of days I wore both of my Zadies. I wore a Zadie that I had made in a viscose fabric, which I bought from Touti Fabrics, and I also wore my slightly shorter version, which was in a chambray that I got from Hobbycraft, I think. So those are all makes that I've talked about before, so I won't go into them, but they are things that I wore while I was on my holiday. Now, the other thing that I wore, and I am mightily pleased with, I have to say, is I wore a pattern which I've been desiring for a very long time, and that was the, I can't even remember the name, I'm so bad with names of patterns, Sewing Patterns by Maison. I think that's how you say it. So it's a French pattern company, and Maison is spelled M-A-S-I-N. I think that's how you say it. Maison. I'm sure you guys will tell me how to pronounce it properly on the comments below. But I made the Sicily slip dress. Now, I've been ogling over this pattern for such a long time, and I had so many ideas of what kind of fabric I'd like to make it in, and I've actually ended up now making it twice. Once to go on holiday in this amazing electric blue fabric that I bought while I was with Cara on a shopping trip to Goldhawk Road. We went and met up in London. Now, Cara is so mad on YouTube and Instagram. I'm sure you've heard of her and I'm sure you've seen her, but I will put a link in down below if you haven't. Please go and check her out. She's absolutely fantastic, and she is so mad and she sews like a gazillion clothes. She's just phenomenal at what she makes, and her style is great. She's just brilliant. She's such a lovely lady. I had such an amazing day with her, and I bought this fabric and with the Sicily slip dress in mind, and she helped me because I was going through saying I really want something silky and I'm not quite sure. Anyway, bought this fabric. Now, I had to make it slightly shorter than what I wanted to because I didn't quite have enough fabric, which is a bit of a shame. But for on the cruise and for an evening out, it felt fantastic. And I cannot tell you how good I felt in this. And I felt really self-conscious when I first put it on because it is a bias cut dress. So it really does hang and drape off every part of your body. And I couldn't wear a bra, so I had to go braless. And yeah, I just felt a bit sort of strange. But once I kind of walked out with it, I thought, do you know what, hold your head up high, you look all right, go on out and enjoy your evening. Do you know what, I went out and I enjoyed my evening and it just felt amazing. Now, I cannot remember what size I made this in, but before I put this video up, I will make sure that I find out and I put it up on the screen. Whatever size I made it in, I made the straight size. I didn't make any alterations to it whatsoever. There are two different versions of this dress. There is the dress with the little shoestring straps, which is the version that I've made. And then there is the version with a slightly thicker sort of strap, which I think could be quite a nice version to make. And I think I would like to try and do that at some stage as well. What I will say is, having now made this and Googled and search the Instagram hashtag, lots of people have made this in really pretty floral fabrics and made summer dresses in it, and 100% I will be making this next year in the summer in a summery floaty viscose fabric, because I just flipping love it. I think it has been my favourite dress that I had for over the summer completely. Which brings me on nicely to the dress that I made for the dressmaker's ball. So hopefully this video is now short enough that I've been able to do it all in one. Crossed. So I made the Touti slip dress again, and this time I made it in a pillar box red fabric that I got from Minerva, and again it was a satin crepe fabric. I'll put the link to the fabric that I bought down below. I can't link the royal blue fabric, unfortunately, because I can't remember the name of the shop that we went to, and I feel so bad about that. But I just can't remember what it was called. However, what I will say is the fabric that I bought from Minerva, they had lots and lots of different colours of it, and it was their, I think it was their mid-range kind of fabric. So I made exactly the same size. I had realised I'd sewn and made a couple of mistakes on the blue version. In fact, I'll just grab the blue version and show you. So on the blue version, what I had done, this is inside out at the moment, it's not ironed, but the front is all one. The facing is just folded down, so that's what creates that sort of drape at the front. And then the back, there is a separate facing piece that you put on. And then what you're meant to do is you're meant to sew the facing together down the side seam and the dress down the side seam, and then you're meant to just hand tack the seam allowances of the facing to the seam allowance of the main body of the dress, and I didn't do that. I don't know why. I think I was rushing because we were going on a holiday, and I just folded it all down and sewed it all together, and it made it just a little bit bulky on that side seam, but nothing that anybody was going to notice other than maybe other dressmakers and me, don't know. So when I made my red one, I made sure that I didn't do that. So yeah, so that's just one thing to look out for, but that was me not reading the instructions properly. So I decided I wanted to make this amazing dress for the dressmaker's ball, and I knew I wanted to make, well, I say I knew I wanted to make it in red. That's not actually strictly true. I had decided I wanted to make a gold dress, and I'd found a pattern. I think it was a Vogue pattern. I'll put a picture of it up on the screen. I wanted something backless, and I went into a shop and I decided to try on a gold dress while I was in there. While I was in this shop, and I tried it on, and the gold against my skin and my colouring made me look ill. I looked horrendous in it. So I quickly chopped that idea and thought, right, it's got to be red. Just go pillar box red. And I made a toile of the pattern that I've put on the screen, and I was really running short of time. I had both of my children that I was taking to university. We had lots of running around to do with them. We'd just been away on holiday. I was going back to work. There was just too much going on. And in the end, I just thought, I can't do this. I made one toile, it didn't fit, and I didn't have the headspace and the time to be able to put it right. And maybe for another time I will. But it was almost a happy kind of thing to have happened, or a good mistake or whatever to have happened, because I'm so delighted with the dress that I made. So I ended up thinking, right, you know what, I love that blue dress so much, I'm going to make the red one, but I'll order a bit extra fabric and I'll make it really, really long. And I could only make it as long as I did. I mean, I literally was teetering on the edge of the fabric to make the length that I made for the red one. And you have to cut it on the bias because it's a bias cut dress, so it does use up huge amounts of fabric, but I think the results, it's worth it. It's really, really nice, and I think it'd be quite nice as a top as well, just to make like a bias cut top to wear with maybe jeans or what have you. If you were going out for an evening, it'd be really lovely. So I'm going to touch on a little bit of the dressmaker's ball, and I'm going to try and remember everything, but it's really hard to try and remember everything. I feel like I'm talking at a million miles an hour. So I went up and I stayed with my really good friend Karen, who is so little time on Instagram and YouTube. She very kindly said that I could stay at her house. I stayed with her last year for the dressmaker's ball, and it was such a good giggle. So I went up on the train on the Friday, and then we spent the day on the Saturday. We just had a bit of a mooch around town and just chilled out really. In fact, we went and sat in the back of her garden. She's got a beautiful, beautiful garden. We went and sat in the sunshine and just enjoyed ourselves. So it was really good. We then went to the dressmaker's ball, and which was held at the City Rooms in Leicester, and we had such a giggle, we had such a scream. We met so many lovely people, people that we had already met previously, people who we had talked to on Instagram but maybe hadn't met before, and then people we hadn't met ever at all, or spoken to, or anything like that. And I don't want to particularly mention anybody's names, because I know I'll mention a few and then forget some, and then I'll feel really awful that I have done that. But I will put pictures up on the screen as I've been talking, and the pictures are courtesy of Anna, who is I'm so bad, aren't I? She's Fuzzy Baby Seals on Instagram, but she's got a different name on YouTube. Her name's completely gone for me. Anyway, Anna and Karen and Michelle from Sew and Bunny, they have all sent me pictures and photos and videos, because I was really bad at taking pictures on the night. I took pictures of everybody else, but I didn't really take pictures of me. So anyway, and we just had such a giggle, such a scream. Did have quite a lot to drink, which was a little bit naughty, and it's not like me, I don't drink very much, so when I do have a drink it doesn't take much, and I did feel quite giggly and a bit silly. And I think I showed my family a video of me on the catwalk, and they did say, had you been drinking? And I was like, yeah, I might have had one or two. Because I've just kind of got up, and bearing in mind I was feeling a bit self-conscious about this dress, because everybody had made just the most phenomenal dresses. The amount of effort and time and just wonderfulness of everybody's dresses was just fantastic. And I'd gone along and made a slip dress, so I felt a little bit of a fraud, if I'm absolutely honest. So I felt really self-conscious, but then there was a catwalk and I had a few drinks, and I was up there giving it all this. So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I like? I look back at the videos and I'm like, oh my dearie, dearie me. Anyway, it was a laugh, and you know what? Life's too short to be too serious, isn't it? So it was quite funny. So we had the evening. We then went back and obviously to bed, and the next day there was then a bit of a social event going on, where there was a brunch organised. Now I don't think it was particularly organised by Crafty So-and-so who had run the ball, but it was, they'd sort of suggested a place to go, and we all went and had a brunch, and people were there with either sore heads or not, sort of mixing and mingling and saying hello, and yeah, it was just absolutely lovely. And then had a bit of a disastrous train journey on the way home, because it was just so busy, and I ended up sitting in the luggage compartment for about 3 hours, which was absolutely horrendous. And honestly, I walked in on a man in the toilet as well. I mean, it was like the most awful train journey I've ever had. It was just awful. Anyway, there we go. That's nothing to do with the ball, but the ball itself was lovely. Now, a few people have sort of mentioned how they felt about the ball and whether it was a good experience or not, and all I'm going to say is there are a few things I think could be improved with the ball, but I don't want to take away from the fact that I had the most amazing evening and weekend. So I will let you all sort of, you know, do your own deciphering on that, but it was good, but there is definitely room for improvement. And I think if you fancy going another year, you should just give it a go, because if you can kind of get over all of the other things, the meeting up with people and socialising and just having an amazing time was just worth it. And yeah, had an absolute ball. Haha, boom boom, there you go. So I hope I've managed to do this in one video. I hope that I haven't got to split this in two. But yes, I hope that you enjoyed seeing all of the things that I've made. I have done it in a very fast and quick sort of way. And I'm hoping that in the future, when I do my makes videos, they're going to be a little bit more detailed and a little bit more relaxed and a bit more chilled, because I'm just going to be doing 4 makes at a time, regardless of how long that's taken me. So yes, every time I make 4 things, I'm going to share that with you and go into a little bit more detail about each of those those makes. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Let me know which of those makes you enjoyed seeing the most, which of them you liked, which of them you didn't like. And ask me any questions if you want to about the ball, that's absolutely fine. And yeah, I hope to see you all again soon. Have a good week and see you later. Bye.